What is up, guys? It is Patrick Walsh, or Little Hoss, whatever you want to call me. You can call me the Banana Man. But we are about to watch I Met the Guy Who Ate Human Flesh. I'm reacting now to horror videos. I'm pretty sure they're like supposed to be scary. Yeah. Let's check this out.
This happened when I was in college. I was 20 at the time, studying for an upcoming exam in biology.
I guess you have a party friend.
That is, until my roommate busted in my room.
Oh,
she wasn't
yes.
yelling, but I could see she was drunk by her excitement.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled my eyes and sighed. I completely lost focus now.
Alright, let me make a prediction here. Okay. She is gonna go to a party with that girl, okay? And she's gonna meet a guy who eats human flesh. And I've watched so many types of videos like this. I bet he tried to bring her home with him. I think this prediction might be right.
But it was okay. I'd kind of gotten used to her behavior. She was a party girl while I was, well,
right.
a nerd. I tried to get back on my reading tracks again, but she patted me on the back and drunkenly giggled before speaking. "Come on, Jasmine. Every time I see you, you're always reading a book." I sighed before speaking. "And every time I see you, you smell of alcohol and vomit." She frowned at me.
Ooh. You just got roasted by a nerd. Loser. Okay.
"How about this? I'll be of alcohol and vomit."
There's some pointy noses. It could be like a mountain if you look at it sideways. God damn.
Frowned at me. "How about this? I'll be quiet all week if you come to this party tomorrow at 8. I wanted to say no, but then I thought about it. I mean, I do always work really hard. Besides, she won't barge in like this for the whole week? Sounds too good, I thought to myself.
That's bothering.
So I nodded and continued to read.
Who does that?
We got ready. I hadn't dressed up in ages, so I was kind of excited. The party was loud, filled with drunk people making out, bumping and dancing. The party was hosted in a basement-like setting, only it was much bigger and had a lot of space. I'm not going to lie, I did have a few drinks. I wasn't drunk, but I was definitely tipsy. So, as my view became tilted, this guy comes out of nowhere and has small talk with me.
Markiplier?
He was fairly attractive. He didn't seem drunk. We met and exchanged names. From what I remember, he had red dyed hair and blue eyes. He was white and about 6 feet. His name was Luke. We laughed and talked about topics like studying and books and that kind of thing. The talking went on for about a half an hour. He then said, "Hey, I'm going to get another drink. Want anything?" And I said, "Why not? I mean, I'm having fun." So later on, he came back with drinks. And the next thing I remember, we were making out in the corner of the party room. It was so quick, and then he asked me, "Want to go back to my place?"
Oh,
which I politely declined. I already
right.
know what he wants.
Oh.
Besides, I needed to be on campus in the morning. Come on, I promise it'll be fun.
I think
I remember that he kept on trying to get me to go, but
So,
he gave up after I made it clear I wasn't interested in going to his place. He rolled his eyes angrily and gave me a paper with a number on it. "Fine. If you change your mind, give me a call." He leaned close to me and whispered against my ear. Then he walked out, and the rest of the night was a complete blank. The next day, I woke up inside my college bedroom, on my bed, next to my roommate snoring on her bed as well. As I got up to shower, a paper fell out of my pocket. It was the number.
Why would pajamas have pockets? You're not in the dress you were in last night. You're definitely in pajamas. Why would a pajama have... Oh, shit. Oh, my... Oh, no, I
woke up inside my college bedroom, on my bed, next to my roommate snoring on her bed as well. As I got up to shower, a paper fell out of my pocket. It was the number, which made me remember that guy. But I had more important things now.
Sup, Luke?
I showered then and went to study. I remember reading my book when all of a sudden I felt dizzy. Then I woke up in the bed with police officers and nurses talking next to me. Turns out I had this dangerous allergic reaction that could only be caused from saliva or any bodily fluids that had come from decaying or rotting flesh, which to my surprise was weird. I hadn't been kissing anyone, let alone ate anything raw. Then I remembered the guy. I told the police about the guy at the party and gave them the number he gave me. A few weeks passed and my allergies went down so I could live my life normally. I just finished my test when my phone rang. I answered it, and it was the police. Turns out the guy from the party had 2 dead
Whoa. Hold up. Rewind. She looks like the girl in the corner, not the girl on the floor without eyes. The girl in the corner with like the yellow shoes, white dress, long black hair. Looks like the girl from that horror movie. The Ring? Was it The Ring? Come out the TV. You know, they had him in Horror Scary Movie 3, I think, and they boxed her. I don't know, but yeah, that's definitely her.
decaying women's bodies inside his apartment that he ate.
Oh no, she has no eyes too.
Months. My heart dropped. The thought that I made out with
Did
someone
he get
who
the
ate
sickness
human
too?
flesh, or even worse, was what if I had agreed to come to his place? I may have been one of those bodies.
Why does she still have eyes though? Like, is that like the last thing or something? What? I astral projected. Oh, astral projected and saw something.
When I was in the 7th grade, I heard about
That don't look like a 7th grader.
astral projection for the first time and thought the idea seemed pretty cool. Who wouldn't want an out-of-body experience and travel around the world? Anyways, I've been attempting it for several months to no avail. I did doubt it wasn't real and eventually stopped attempting it. Then one day on a January, I decided to hit the bed at around 7 p.m. to take a nap, and the next second I began to feel I was being pulled out of my body as a strong vibration feeling overcame me, similar to that body feeling you get from a strong nicotine rush. I then was floating in my room and felt a presence right behind me, but didn't think much of it. It wasn't a good presence, more of a demonic one. Despite there being my family in the home awake, I didn't see anyone there, and only the light that illuminated the stairway was on. Everything also had a blue tint to it, and I could see clearly in the dark. I had to swim through the air to be able to move, and went through my door and swam my way downstairs.
I don't think that's
I decided to go up
yeah.
and through the ceiling,
Yeah,
and then through the roof, and explore this new plane of existence.
This kid's having a ball with this. Everything's tinted blue. An evil demonic spirit's behind him. I mean, what 7th grader wouldn't want that?
However, as I went through the ceiling, I saw this creature rushing towards the stairs, and it stopped as soon as I stopped moving to see it. I could only see the back of it from the right side of it since it was blocked by a wall, but it had yellow skin, pointy, elongated ears, a tail that's medium-sized, and it appeared to be as tall as I was at the time, 5'6".
I don't know.
I stared at it for a few seconds, frozen in fear, and before I knew it, I was awake, back in my bed. I looked at my clock and several minutes had passed by. I don't know what to think of that, but it was an interesting experience.
What the fuck was
an interesting
that?
experience.
What kind of...
When I was 8 years old,
What just happened? Continuing. Wow, what kind of ending is that?
didn't have any friends. My mom wouldn't allow me to play out.
What grade is she in? When you were 3 years old? Wait.
When I was 8 years old,
you
I
had no
didn't
friends.
have any friends. My
Welcome to the
mom
club.
wouldn't allow me to play outside with the other kids in our neighborhood. I was always alone. The only playmates I had were my cousins and my brother, but it took 3 hours and 25 minutes to get to their houses. One day, my mom let me play outside with the kids in our neighborhood for the first time because she was going somewhere, maybe to work or to run errands. I got my dolls
Wait, was
and
that
other
in-
things somewhere, maybe to work or to
Yeah,
run
that was in
errands.
it. Okay.
I got my dolls and other toys and was excited to play with the kids outside.
She got bugged.
When I got
Oh.
there, no one wanted to play with me. The attempt was useless, but then someone approached me. He had puppy eyes and was cute. We quickly became playmates. Even though he was a boy, he would join me for tea parties with my dolls. He
bet
also
he
invited
never
me to play
existed.
with him at his house. But I was confused because his house looked old and abandoned. Like it hadn't been cleaned up for almost 12 years. We decided to go
What
play in
estimate
his
is that?
garden. When we got there, I puked. I didn't know why at the time, but for some reason, I was disgusted. He didn't offer me water or anything. He just looked at me grinning and said, "Next time, you're going to sleep here too." 2 weeks after that upsetting experience, I went looking for him. A paper airplane flew to me out of nowhere.
Whoa.
I picked it up, and when I opened it, a paper airplane flew to me out of
Okay. New 1999.
nowhere. I picked it up, and when I opened it, I was shocked, scared,
Boy found dead. Bet.
sad. It was a newspaper clipping. The boy that I played with went missing 9 years ago. I ran to my bedroom.
He looks the exact same though.
Missing 9 years ago. I ran to my bedroom and I saw a shadow through my window. I looked at it closely, and it was the boy. He was smiling.
You have stitches?
Today, I'm 19 years old, and I still remember that part of my childhood
11
so
years ago.
clearly.
How are you reading something from the 1990s? Let's do the math. 11 years ago. It's 2019 when this came out. Okay. We got that down. Okay, so she's born in 1999. No, she was born in like 2000. I'm not good at math. Wait, bear with me, guys. Okay, 19 years old. She's 8 years old when this happened. That's a long time apart. That is 11 years apart, and she's 19 now, which is in 2019. Minus 11 is 2008. She was 8 years old. 2000, born in 2000. Okay. Yet when she was 8, she was in 2008. Why do you have a newspaper from 1999 in 2008? Oh yeah, well 9 years ago the boy did go missing, which... Oh, okay, I get it now. Wait, I didn't get to see. Man who escaped from prison broke into my house. This is really intense.
One day, when I was about 6 or 7 years old, my mom had gone to my older sister's recital in Georgia, and my dad was at work. He was a pilot for some airline. So she left me and my older brother, who was only 12 at the time, at the sitter's house, which was a few blocks away from my house. My sitter, who I'm going to call Bev, was 19, and she was pretty much the best kind of sitter to a 6 to 7 year old boy could ask for. She'd let us play games and stay up watching TV, as long as we didn't bother her while she was on the phone with her boyfriend. We were watching TV, and we could hear something scratching the paneling on the side of the house. Naturally, we blew it off as a stray animal, so we continued watching TV. About 30 minutes to an hour
And then
later,
the boogeyman popped up.
Bev ran into the living room and locked the front door and shut the blinds. We were curious as to what she was doing. Me and my brother, being kids, got scared and started crying. Then Bev said everything would be okay. It was just a peeping Tom. So she took us upstairs and we went to her parents' room with the Nintendo and some snacks. She said stay put and not to touch anything we didn't bring into the room. Not a minute later after she walked out of the room, we heard a loud crash and glass shattering in the room below us. The sicko had thrown a brick from the walkway through the guest bedroom window and managed to get in. I remember Bev running into the room and pulling us into the closet and telling us we were going to play a game of hide and seek and to be very quiet. She got out of the closet and locked it from the outside latch and disappeared.
If she dies, who's gonna open that latch?
Several minutes passed and we could hear a grown man screaming, come out wherever you are. I only want to play." Then I heard what sounded like water running in the bathroom across from the closet. Then it shut off. And I heard Bev yelling something at the man. It was something like, "The police are on their way. You better get out of my fucking house now."
I love this narrator.
Something like, "The police are on their way. You better get out of my fucking house now." Then we could hear loud, heavy footsteps sprinting out of the room, and then sirens wailing in the distance.
I remember.
Bev shrieked, and we heard a loud thud on the ground below us.
He fell down the
Bev
stairs.
had managed to find an old wooden bat. As the man turned the corner to go out the front door, Bev swung the bat as hard as she could, knocking the man to the floor. Dazed, he got up and tried chasing her outside,
Shit, what?
but the cops had already arrived and tackled the man on
Yeah,
sight.
bad.
My mom came home immediately and took me, my brother, and Bev back to my house. A few years later, she explained that the man was a known sex offender and had escaped from prison. In the report, he was said to be carrying a rather large knife in his pocket and had a Saturday night special tucked away in the waist of his pants.
When he was chasing her, he didn't pull anything of that out.
It happened
just a
last
dumb
year,
criminal.
2018, when I was still in my second year of high school. It was earlier March that I was in school. We were just playing some quiz game on the laptop. I
That's
connected
late
it to the
March,
projector
okay.
for all of them to see. But then suddenly the school's fire alarm went off. They said this isn't a drill, but rather a maniac just entered our school with a gun. So all of us closed the door and the window to our classroom and switched off the lights. It was all silent, like you could hear a pin drop to the floor. At first I wasn't panicking that much, but it all started to
Then you hear
happen when a gunshot was heard from the distance of our room. I can assume that he already knows that we're here. We are the closest room from the entry hall. Every single one of my classmates was crying. I'm the tallest and the oldest student of them all. I'm 16 and some of them are 15 and 14 and another one is 12. So I thought, I'm the oldest. I should protect them.
12-year-olds in that.
I was like that.
Someone my age is in
So
that.
then I grabbed the fire extinguisher in our room, because every single room in my school has a fire blanket and a fire extinguisher, just in case of a fire. I had a stupid plan inside my head that I'll spray him with the fire extinguisher. So then I opened our room door, and I came across it. He was a middle-aged man wearing a white tank and black slacks. He was holding a .44 Magnum caliber revolver. At first, we were having a quick draw match, like that. He grabbed his gun first and pulls the trigger. I can feel my heart beating fast, and just then he aimed the gun at me, but it didn't shoot at all. He forgot to cock his gun, so then it's my chance to hit him with the fire extinguisher and knock him out.
Oh, shit just
So then
got
it's my chance to hit him with the fire extinguisher and knock him out.
God.
After that, the police arrived and every student was reunited with their family. And still, I'm wondering, what could have happened if he didn't forget to cock his gun
Oh, that's obvious.
and shoot me first?
Yeah, you just got it right there. I don't know why you're wondering what happened. You definitely would have died. Okay. Like, did he not get awarded or anything? I mean, like...
My name is Magda, and I'm 26 years old. I work in an office in the city. On the weekends, I used to love to get away from all the hustle and bustle and take a trip to the countryside. Luckily, I have a cottage in a small village which is located right at the edge of the forest. How I used to love to get out of the city and spend the weekend in my little cottage. Why did I stop? Well, I'll tell you. After a hard week at work, I needed to... I'll tell you. After a hard week at work, I needed to rest, so I decided to get out of town. I went home, packed my bags, threw them in the trunk, and drove off. When I arrived in the village, it was late in the evening and I was tired from the long drive. I went straight to bed and fell asleep quickly. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the sound of my car alarm going off. I looked out the window, but there was nobody in sight. I found my car keys, pressed the button to shut off the alarm, and the awful noise stopped. I laid back down and tried to fall asleep. All of a sudden, the alarm went off again. I didn't feel like getting up, so I just grabbed my keys and pressed the button once more. Everything was peaceful and quiet again. However, 5 minutes later,
It happened
the
again.
alarm went off a third time.
Oh, this
Once
is
or
so
twice could
predictable.
have been an accident, but now I was wondering what was going on. Could someone be playing tricks on me in the middle of the night? I got up again and pressed the button to turn off the alarm.
Just sit
But
there.
this time, I didn't lay back down. I stood at the curtains and watched. After a few minutes, I saw something by the light of the moon. A shadow emerged from the bushes and slowly approached the car. I could just about make out the
That's
shape.
all.
It was something tall, skinny.
Well, what happens if it's one of those small cars? You know, they're like small. They're small cars. I'll probably, yeah. I mean, like,
and black. The figure reached out with its long, thin arms and knocked on the car. The alarm went off again, and quick as a flash, the dark figure retreated back into the bushes. At that moment, I realized what was going on and began shaking with fear. I turned off the alarm and continued to watch. The thing emerged from the bushes again, slid silently over to the gates, threw a hand through them, and removed the partition holding the gates closed. I was paralyzed with fear, and I couldn't move. My mind was overcome by panic thoughts. What was it? What did it want from me? What was it doing? Would it ever go away? A shiver ran through my body, from my head down to my toes. My mouth was dry and my heart was beating fast. I was so tense, I was gritting my teeth and clenching my hands into fists. I regained control of myself and ran down the stairs as fast as my legs could carry me to the ground floor. I wanted to look for something I could use to protect myself. However, just as I was about to switch on the lights, I suddenly froze in my tracks. The dark figure was at the window. It was pressed up against the glass, staring in, looking to see whether or not there was someone home. I immediately ducked down behind the sofa and peered out. And that's when I realized what all those tricks with the car were for. It was trying to lure its victim outside. I couldn't take my eyes off its hideous face. Its skin was the color of ash and
Grandpa, what are you doing all
covered with wrinkles. Its eyes were small, beady, and completely black. Instead of it having a nose, there were 2 ragged holes. It didn't have any lips, just 2 rows of sharp, yellow teeth. When it breathed, it was so heavy and hoarse that it was misting up the window. I just knew it wasn't going to go away. After standing at the window for a few moments, I heard a rustling noise as it came to the front door. I watched as it tried to push its fingers through the gap under the door. The handle began to twitch wildly up and down. The creature emitted a chilling sound. It was not like a human voice. It was a deep,
Shoot, what I do?
This happened when I
ran down the stairs as fast as my leg, like a human voice. It was a deep, beastly growl, like an angry dog chewing on a bone. I knew that if it heard me, it would keep trying until it found a way to get into the house. I crouched down behind the sofa, hiding in the shadows and desperately trying not to make a sound. Tears began involuntarily streaming down my face, no matter how much I tried to stop them. I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples, and I was shaking like a leaf, just waiting for it to end. I don't know how long I cowered there. I must have been passed out. When I woke up and looked out the window, the creature was gone. The door was still in place and everything seemed secure. I've never been so relieved in all my life. I ran upstairs and looked out the window. It was light outside and there was no sign of anything wrong. Taking a chance, I grabbed my keys and without stopping to collect any of my things, I ran out to the car. I jumped in, locked the doors, and drove away from the village as fast as I could. I didn't stop driving until I got back to the city. When I got back to my apartment, I turned on the radio and heard a news report. The announcer said that, in the village, the dead bodies of 2 girls had been discovered. Their corpses had been mutilated and dumped in a swamp. I guess the creature found what it was looking for. I don't want to, but I am curious to know. What would have happened if I didn't...
Stop asking these questions. You know what would have happened. Stop lying.
Make the right decision of sprinting.
Years ago when I was in the 5th grade, my friends and I...
Wait. So did she not tell the police
walking
that
home.
there was a creature outside? They could have connected the dots there.
From school, when we noticed some of the other kids laughing very loudly at something and running away like they were disgusted. We looked back and they were laughing at this woman who was walking behind us.
That's no woman, that's a man.
We didn't know why because we saw her every day when we were walking home from school. We just never spoke with her, or we
Pretty sure the jawline will point out that's a man.
never even seen her up close. We moved closer
Those
to see
facial
what was
features
so
make it look
funny,
like a man.
and we definitely noticed what the other kids were making ruckus about.
Hairy legs.
This was a man dressed in a miniskirt with high heels on. The other kids were throwing sticks and rocks at it, but he never responded. He just smiled while he was walking. A few days later, I just so happened to be watching the news and I saw the same guy's face on the news. My friend who lives around the corner was getting her mail when she saw the man across the street watching her. He waved and he started skipping across the street like a little girl while loudly asking her, "Do you remember me?" She was one of the kids that threw rocks at him. She shut her door as he started running full speed toward her house while wearing a wig, miniskirt, heels, and a woman's tank top. He started banging on her door until she called the police. He was caught within minutes. Anything could have happened to us that day, with this guy roaming our neighborhood. But luckily, nothing ever happened to any of the kids that I knew.
That's the end? Doppelgang? What?
This
Heard that
story
word,
happened
but I
when I
don't
was
know what it
18 years old and a senior in high school. It was an ordinary night. My dad worked the night shift, so we all decided to sleep in my parents' room. I was with my younger brother who was 15
I'm about to be a straight English teacher, straight up here. Who's we?
years old at the time, my younger sister who was 11 years old, and
That's
my
better,
mom.
that's better.
My parents' room was a small, purple, square-shaped room, which also had a bathroom. The bathroom's door was across from the bed. My younger brother and
those
I slept on my parents' bed
crusty
while my
toes.
mom and my
Crusty
younger
toes.
sister slept on the floor. Before sleeping, we all had a short conversation, and after that, we went to sleep at 9 p.m. At 2 a.m., I was awakened by a strange sensation. As I opened my eyes, I had my eyes fixed on the bathroom door,
How are
which
your
was
eyes that
cracked
close
open.
to your-
To my surprise, I noticed a black figure, which looked exactly like my younger brother. The figure stood there with his arms crossed, watching me. However, his eyes were shut. At that moment, I froze. I couldn't move from the bed, and I was scared that if he opened his eyes, he would have red or bloodshot eyes. I decided to quietly turn my head to the other side of the bed to see if it was indeed my brother. My heart sunk to my stomach when I realized that my brother was sleeping right next to me. So many thoughts kept racing through my head. Who is this person? Why is he here? How could he look exactly like my brother? I tried as hard as possible to sleep and ignore what I saw. A few minutes later, after opening and closing my eyes, I was shocked to see that the figure was now standing above me, still looking right into my eyes with his eyes shut. My eyes were wide open from the shock. I felt like I was going to die from a heart attack. I felt as if he was starting to open his eyes, which scared me and caused me to close my eyes and force myself to sleep. Forcing myself to sleep worked, and
Whoa.
the next thing I knew, it was morning. When I woke up, I headed to the living room and saw my mom. After holding it inside for a bit, I gave up and told my mom about the incident. I almost froze when she said she saw the same exact figure and witnessed what happened. It was terrifying. We both saw the same black figure that looked exactly like my brother. It was as if he was my brother's twin. We lived in that house for 2 more years until we finally moved out. After the move, we told my dad about this story because he doesn't like hearing creepy stories, so we kept it a secret until we moved. He surprised us by saying that we were not alone. He saw some strange things in that house as well.
Oh, wow. That made me jump a little. Alright, this is the last one.
When you think of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, the last thing you'd think of was a horror story. But yet, here I am. It was the summer of 2014, and I was
Don't
bored
even
and
tell me you
home
met
alone, so
someone and they came out
naturally
to your
I
house
hopped on
and gave them
CSGO.
your address. Because they
I went
figured
to
out your
Dust
address,
Online
maybe.
to play some casual. It wasn't a very busy lobby.
Milkshake
There
or
was about
something,
5 people on each side.
Yeah, McFlurry.
I joined
okay, I've seen
Terrace,
this.
where
I've
I
seen this.
quickly discovered the only other person with a mic was a guy whose name was something like Smarties McFlurry. He sounded a lot older than me. I was 14 at the time. His name was Dave, and we got along well, and we played good together.
But when I got there were people everywhere in the neighborhood.
It was before I fell asleep.
I'm
The
just
next morning, my parents arrived home, but it was my house. However, CSGO, all this day be a chat house? No.
Let's just watch what I haven't watched.
I was a big Tinder guy a few years ago. Everywhere I went,
Who's a big
I would
Tinder
update my location and then
Big
update,
Tinder guy.
my body count. Then I quit doing Tinder and stuck with Instagram. I know they're completely different, and IG has a bunch of fake accounts. So I saw this girl commenting on all of my friends' pictures. Then she commented on mine. I also saw my friends replying, so I figured she was a real person because I looked on her page and she had way more followers than people she was following. So I DM'd her. I definitely thought she wasn't going to reply, but she did within an hour. We talked for maybe 2 or 3 weeks and we made it official. She was pretty, had a degree, and a good job, as she said. I felt she was out of my league and too perfect. Every day she posted new photos, and I told my friends about her and they seemed pretty jealous, except for my friend Ryan. He said I was stupid because I never spoke with her, and I only messaged her. She invited me over because she said she can cook. Ryan told me to don't go. The rest of my friends said don't have any kids, and they would laugh. So I went over there, but not without Ryan calling me a clown first. The GPS said she lived about an hour away. When I first started to talk to her, she told me that she lived in a nice neighborhood. But when I got there were people everywhere and the neighborhood was not that nice. When I stopped at the stop sign at the corner, people walked up to my windows and asked me what do I need. But I pulled off really fast and got to the house. It was a duplex, so I messaged her and she said to come up the stairs. It was about 9 at night and people were everywhere just standing around. I knocked on the door and I was definitely excited.
Lock those doors.
The door opened and to my surprise, it was a bald-headed white guy with a patchy beard, tattoos everywhere, including his head, with a tank top on.
Run! It's a gun.
I asked, was Lisa home? And he said, yeah, come in. With cheese. On something, I texted her, can she come out, please? She immediately said yes. The man came back in with 2 cups of juice, one for him and one for myself. Then I noticed that he put a phone down on the table next to him. So I acted like I sneezed and got some on my arm. Then I asked for a tissue. He went to get some tissue and he left his phone like I thought he would. I texted her back, and to my horror, the phone rang. I looked on the caller ID and it was my name.
Run!
Coming back. He came back and we sat there for about a minute. And then the phone rang again because he never checked the message that I sent. He looked at the phone. I looked at the phone. Then we looked at each other. I postured up, and he calmly said, I guess you caught me. Then out of nowhere, he lunged toward me, attempting to grab me. I punched him, and he fell on his face.
This is like one of those
I ran
like
out of there
anime
so
fight
fast
scenes.
and I never looked back. Yeah, I called the cops. And when they got there, the man was still knocked out.
There's no way
After
you
that,
punched him that hard.
I never went on dates with people that I met online again.
Actually, we'll watch
This
one
story
more.
is totally true. It happened to me when I was about 4 years old. My dad used to really like going on vacation with me and my family. One time, we went to what I think was Big Bear, but I'm not sure. Anyways, we rented a cabin. I don't remember much, but I remember the inside of the cabin was beautiful. The furniture was all colorful and decorated in Christmas colors, but it was around Christmas time. It was very roomy, and it was 2 floors.
Okay, everybody, we're gonna stop here. Actually, just screw that video. I will see you all guys next time. Just don't forget to subscribe and like. And also, I have a very important announcement real quick. Let me pull it out. That sounded wrong, not gonna lie. You guys need to check out the Cash app. I use it a lot actually. I don't know why I use it. I think I like send my friends stuff, like Sam I'd send stuff. But yeah, I use it a lot and I give it a good 10 out of 10. So check that out and I'll see you all next time. Bye.